everyone. My name is Miss Clark. I'm a second grade teacher at Sunnyview Primary. I want to give a shout out to all of my friends at Sunnyview. Hello, everyone. And to all of the second graders out there who are watching this today, know that your teachers are missing you and we want you to stay safe and healthy. Here are a few tips for those who are watching the video on YouTube today. Turn on closed captions if those are available. Adjust the playback speed to slow down the video. Consider watching in short clips, then pause, listen, and watch again. You can also ask someone in your home to watch the video with you. Stop frequently and talk to your partner about what you heard and what you have learned. Let's start today with a few of our care basics, just some review for you. The sound we're going to talk about today is the sound. We have already learned that can make the ooh sound, as in the word moon. We also know that makes the sound, as in the word book. Book, Let's decode a few words using this pattern so we can practice reading and writing with this sound. Look at this word. Let's begin by underlining the vowel sound that you see. I see that We are talking about the sound this week, so I think that is going to make the sound. Let's stretch and read this word. Look. Now slide it together. Look. In my normal speaking voice, look. Very good. I know that many of you are looking at this word and saying, well, I already knew that word. But what we are doing is learning to apply these rules of phonics so that when we come to a longer word that we don't know, that is unfamiliar, we can use these rules and apply those rules to help make us better readers. Let's try another one. Underline that vowel sound. Stretch, ook. Slide, took, and normal, took. Good, good, good. Stood, stood, stood. Ook, cook, cook. I notice this word has the ing ending on it, so we're going to add that ending onto the base word. The vowel sound that I see is ing, cooking, cooking. I notice that this word has two vowel sounds in it. I know that every syllable has a vowel sound. That tells me this word has two syllables. Both vowel sounds are Let's stretch. K, ook, ook. Cook, book. Cookbook. I also notice that this word is a compound word. Two smaller words put together to make one bigger word. Cook, book, cookbook. And if I don't know what a cookbook is, I can use the meaning of each of those words to determine the meaning. Cookbook is probably a book that we use when we cook. Very good. Let's take a look at some high frequency words. It is very important that we are able to read and write these words very quickly because they are used often. Let's look at these words. The first one is give. Let's spell it. G-I-V-E. V, E, give. Very good. This next one is the word does. Let's spell D-O-E-S, does. Let's read both of those again. Give, does. Very good. Many of you have this passage in your packet. If you don't have it in your packet, or if you don't have the packet, you can read along with me. I've made it large on the screen for you. Let's begin. Notice that I see many words with our sound. I've underlined those for you. You might also want to underline those words or highlight those words in your passage so that you can identify and read those quickly. Read along with me. Cooking can be fun. It's best to learn from an adult. I took lessons from my mom. I'd look on when she followed recipes from her cookbook. It took a full month before I was ready to cook my first dish. The first dish I made was a grilled cheese sandwich. Mom stood next to me as I put cheese and butter on the bread. She helped me put it on the griddle and turn it when it was ready. That sandwich tasted so good. We know that fluent readers read smoothly in their normal speaking voice. They also read accurately, making sure to read each word correctly. And they also read with expression. Throughout this week, if you have this passage at home with you, read it each day. That will help you become a more fluent reader. We learned last week that a sleuth is the same thing as a detective, someone who uses clues to solve a mystery, and a hound is a type of dog who uses clues to find something. A sleuth hound is someone who uses clues to find answers. Today, you will again become a junior sleuth hound. We will look for clues in our text. We will ask questions about what we read because that makes us better readers. We will make our case and we will write to prove what we have learned. In this unit, we have been talking and looking in the text for clues about how things change. We are going to continue with that today. Our essential question is, how do plants change over time? That is our essential question. We will be reading today to find out how plants change over time. You will be writing today to answer this question. Let's begin by building some background knowledge. What do we already know about how plants grow and change over time? Take just a minute to think about what you already know about plants. If you thought about seeds, we all know that plants begin as seeds. We know that all plants have stems. We know that plants have leaves and they also have roots. This is the background knowledge we will take with us today as we read and build on that knowledge to learn more about how plants grow and change over time. Let's read to find out how an apple changes over time. This is your passage for today. What is the title of this passage? That's right, from seed to flower to fruit. I think today we will read to find out how plants start as seeds, become flowers, and then change to fruit. That is a clue that will help me understand as we read. What else do you see in this picture? What are these? These are seeds. We know that plants begin as seeds. What else do you see? I see flowers. Very good. Flowers can be plants. What else? That's right. Finally, you see the fruit. In this picture, you see apples from seed to flower to fruit. Let's begin, Junior Sleuth Hounds. Remember, we're reading to find out how an apple changes over time or how plants change over time. Let's read to find out how an apple begins. Read along with me, please. Do you know where apples come from? Have you ever seen an apple seed? Inside that tiny brown shell is the beginning of a whole new tree. Every seed contains an embryo or a baby plant. The seed protects the baby plant. Then, when the seed gets the right amount of water and warmth, it breaks open. The embryo begins to grow. Let's look back at this section of our passage. According to the text in this section, what is the embryo that is inside the apple seed? I have circled the word embryo for you. Let's go back and read that sentence to see if we can find out what the embryo is that's inside the apple seed. Every seed contains an embryo or a baby plant. That's right. You might want to underline or highlight this piece of evidence, Sleuth Hounds. We know that an embryo is a baby plant. That's what's inside of our seed, that tiny brown apple seed. What does the seed need in order to grow? Let's go back to the text to find the answer. Do you see the answer? That's right. Then, when the seed gets the right amount of water and warmth, it breaks open. The embryo begins to grow. So we know that our seed needs water and warmth. And where do they get the water and the warmth? That's right, from the sun and the rain. So we have learned in this section that inside the seed is a baby plant and it needs rain and sun to grow. And once it breaks open, it starts to grow. Let's continue to read. How does an apple change over time? Let's read this section to find out how the stem and roots grow. A stem with little seed leaves pushes upward. There may be one leaf or two leaves. The seedling wants light to help it grow. Roots also begin to grow. They help the seedling get food from the soil. Let's stop here and again look back on our passage as we ask and answer some questions. Which way does the stem grow from the seed, and what does it need? I see in my text a stem with little seed leaves pushes upward. That means the stem from the seedling is growing up. It needs light to help it grow. So my stem is going to push up out of the ground so that it can get light from the sun to help it grow. Which way do the roots grow from the seedling, and how do they help the seedling? Let's go back to the text to find out. The text says roots also begin to grow. They help the seedling get food from the soil. So our roots are growing down into the soil, and they help our seedling get food from the soil to help it grow. Remember, you may want to highlight, underline information in your passage, or you can even take notes to help you remember the important details when you write later. Let's continue reading. How does an apple change over time? Let's read this section to find out how the plant changes as it grows. New leaves grow from the stem. When there are enough new leaves, the seed leaves fall off. Soon, flower buds appear. When the flowers open, bees move pollen from one flower to another. New seeds form inside the flowers. Let's go back to this section to ask and answer questions. You may want to have your highlighter or pencil ready to find those important details. What happens to the plant as it grows? Let's go back to the text to find that answer. Good job. If you said new leaves grow from the stem, that's right. What happens to the old leaves? The seed leaves, they fall off and new leaves grow. And then flower buds appear. Very good. How do the bees help flowers? Let's look, sleuth hounds. Can you see evidence? If you underlined, highlighted, or wrote, bees move pollen from one flower to another, you are correct. Good job, sleuth hounds. Our bees are very important to our plants. They help move the pollen from one flower to another. And that is very important. Let's keep reading to find out how this apple is changing over time. Let's read our last section to find out how the seeds inside the flowers become an apple. The part of the plant where these seeds are grows larger. It becomes a tiny apple, and soon it will be ready to eat. Do you see the seeds inside? Each seed is ready for a chance to become a new plant. The cycle begins again. Let's look back at this section to answer one final question. What happens to the seeds in the flowers? Let's go back to our text to find the answer. What happens to the seeds inside the flowers? If you underlined, highlighted, or wrote down, the seeds grow larger and become a tiny apple. I wonder what happens to that tiny apple. Of course, it's going to grow into that big apple. I love apples. Think about the tiny seeds that are inside those apples that we eat. Isn't it amazing that they start out as a very tiny seed and grow into that giant tree? It's amazing. So let's recap. What did we learn about how apple plants grow and change over time? What did we learn? We learned that plants start as seeds, and inside that seed is an embryo or a baby plant. That seed opens up and the plant begins to grow. We learned that the stem has seed leaves, and we learned that the stem grows upward. It grows up out of the soil. It needs water and sun. That is an important detail that you will want to include in your writing. We also learned about how the apple plant, the seed has roots. The seedling has roots, and the roots grow down into the soil. We learned about the flowers. We know that the flowers open up, and inside those flowers, more seeds form. We talked about how bees are very important to the life cycle of our apple plant. The bees move pollen from one flower to another. And finally, the tiny apple begins. And the apple continues to grow until it becomes a ripe, beautiful apple, delicious, ready to eat. And inside that apple are more seeds, and the life cycle will begin again. That might make a good conclusion when we write. I'm going to keep that in my mind. This is your task for today, for this week. You are going to write, use the text evidence. Use what we read to describe how an apple changes over time. Remember the details that you highlighted, underlined, or wrote down in a note taker. Those are the details. Let's see what your writing needs. Let's look at our checklist. The first thing your writing needs is a topic sentence. When I write a topic sentence, I go back to my question so that I can use some of the words that are in that question. Let's look back at our question. Describe how an apple changes over time. I don't want to put any details in my topic sentence, but I want to use these words. How does an apple change over time? Maybe an apple changes many ways over its lifetime, its life cycle. Think of a good way to use these words to make a beautiful topic sentence. After your topic sentence, you will use details from the text. This is very important. There were many details that we talked about. The seeds, the stems that grow upward to get sun and water, the roots that grow downward to get food. We talked about the flowers and the seeds inside the flowers and how the bees move pollen. We talked about the tiny seeds that turn into a tiny apple and how the apple grows. Use all of those details in your writing. And finally, you will write a concluding sentence or a closing. That's where you're going to tell me what you just wrote about. It will look very similar to your topic sentence, but not exactly the same. You might even talk about how the life cycle begins again from those tiny seeds. Don't forget those basic things that every second grader writes with. Use your best handwriting as you write. Don't forget to use capitals and punctuation. Check your spelling and write in complete sentences. You might even want to use some of our fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, to link a couple of sentences together to make compound sentences. Very good. Here are some extension ideas. If you have time this week, use your text, use those clues, those details that we learned about to draw a picture of how an apple grows from a seed to that apple tree. Here are a few examples. I see a life cycle ring, and I also see a diagram. You can do either of these things. Just draw pictures, and don't forget to label seed, stem, root, leaves, flower, fruit. Here are a few other extension ideas. You can make a seed viewer using a plastic cup, some wet paper towels. You can use this to grow your own plant. Use some seeds that you have in your home, maybe some bean seeds, or if you have an apple, there will be some tiny seeds inside that apple. You can also make a seedling garden with toilet paper tubes. Go outside and gather some soil. Use some seeds that you have at home. Here are a few Google sites that you can use, a few sites that you can use, or you can just Google these two things to find these ideas on the internet. I have had so much fun with you all today, reading and learning about how a plant, an apple plant, grows and changes over time. I will see you soon. Stay inside, stay safe, stay healthy. Goodbye, friends.